Welcome to Ring of Fire.
I'm Alex Barr, doula and educator.
And I'm Emmy the Birth Wizard.
This is where we talk about the tough moments of birth work
and help you transition into fire starters.
The word.
Audio description.
Hi.
Hello.
We're here. We're back. We have been slacking, but we are here.
I don't think we've been slacking. I think we have been curating better content. You guys like that spin?
I love it. Yeah.
Right?
We've fallen into a nice, every other week pace. I'm pretty okay with that.
Right. And truly, if it keeps this going, guys, that's pretty cool.
100%. And we both have been traveling and doing all the things and family things, and I'm finally done. I never want to leave my home ever again. I'm so fucking done traveling. But
interesting.
And you just want to leave all the time, always.
Every time. It's actually been one of those things where I can tell that I started doula work in the pandemic because I could not leave. So it fit with my life for those 2 or 3 years.
You found a way to be as busy as possible when you could not leave the house.
Exactly. And now I'm like, oh, I can actually go places. So yeah, welcome back. We've had some fun.
Yeah.
You got to live your emo kid dreams.
I did.
And I went to San Diego. It's been good times.
My Kim forever, man.
For sure.
Love it. I'm so happy. Literally, I was my sister said, isn't it so great that now we get to experience these things when we're not in a scary, traumatizing environment? And I cried. We're at the concert, I'm crying. I'm like, you're right. I just get to enjoy it. It was so sweet. So it was awesome.
My cool story is I got to see My Chem in 2007 when they were on tour for Black Parade at a small German bar.
And that's my favorite.
Yeah.
I will always be sad that I missed the small venue era. Because that is my favorite era of any band I've ever seen. I love that so much.
Yes.
But it made me excited because this is the first concert I've been to in 4 years.
That's fun.
I love live music, so it was a big yay, it's back.
Yeah.
I can be here. So
yeah, for sure. The world is healing. Yeah, but I think it's important. I don't think they'll go. I think there'll be eventually a day where My Chem is back to smaller venues. I do.
Let's cross our fingers, because
I think they will.
I'll be a 50-year-old and I'm already a 30-year-old there.
In 20 years, for sure, man. You know what? We can all dream. But yeah, it's been good times. So if you guys didn't listen or watch the last episode, it was all about filling up your cups and that kind of thing. So that's what we were fully doing. Guess what we're talking about this week? Our favorite thing.
Memes.
It's a meme.
It's a meme episode.
It's a memes.
Which is one of our most listened to episodes. Probably the most listened to episode of season 1.
It is.
Is our meme episode 2.
Man,
so we're bringing
season
it back.
1 feels like
so long ago. It has not been that long.
No.
It's been over a year since we started, but it has not been very long.
I think it was when we were told that most podcasts don't last more than 3 episodes that I realized how long we had been doing this. And that's why we make sure you guys get quality content by making breaks happen. Anyway, so the deal is we'll do rock, paper, scissors and it'll just be a back and forthies.
Love it.
And then for those who are audio listeners, we'll make sure to explain the full meme or even the full TikTok, because I have a couple TikToks that I think are cute. And we did this under the premise of fear-based in childbirth or any sort of birthing situations.
Yeah. And I definitely put an emphasis on what if I was a birther and saw these things?
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think we can all laugh at it as doulas, and then also we can put in our input or our own thoughts and things.
So let's start with the way we started with our first meme episode. Can you explain what a meme is for those who don't know?
A meme is a repeatable joke that you can put into many different situations. So the purpose is it's the same punchline, however it can be extrapolated on into many cultures or thoughts or like situations. So a really great one, there's this creator who came up with a TikTok sound of like, wow, this is going to be my personality for the rest of my life now, right? And you can take that joke and now you can apply it to like after I give birth. Oh, this is going to be my personality for the rest of my life. Interacting with the anime. Well, this is going to be my personality for the rest of my life.
Essentially all TikTok trends turn into memes?
Correct. So
my favorite is, and I say it all the time, well, isn't this the consequence of my own actions? It comes into my head all the time.
I repeat several sounds over and over, and memes in particular. My sister and I really like the one of, it was Kristen Stewart, who's like a lesbian goddess, but
dream girl,
literal dream girl.
She looks like she would beat me up too.
After she was really awkward with your fight beforehand, but Kristen Stewart is walking along, and you can hear this announcer being really nervous as she's about to talk to her. She's like, just say whatever you need to say, right? And she goes, lesbians love you! And Kristen Stewart walks by and goes, sick. And so my sister and I, whenever we're in a situation where you feel uncomfortable and you have to, like, dope, right? That's where the like, sick. Like, it's funny, though, what those jokes will do and how you can extrapolate on them and how you can find them in everyday life. So that's the purpose behind a meme and where it comes from. It's all old internet culture. Welcome to your millennial conversation about a meme. You Gen Zers make it way more complicated than I'm used to.
You're able to.
Yeah.
I've seen memes form and shift and grow into very complicated things. I just kind of feel like you know what a meme is when you see it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is it's truly like I feel it is the epitome of making your inside joke an outside joke, right? Like it's bringing everyone in on the joke. So.
And if you haven't watched the first and second episodes from season 1, they're really good. Still like great to go back and listen to.
Yeah, and we did educational stuff and we did memes. So, all right, you ready to do your rock paper scissors, or do you just want to go first or second?
You can just go first because I always lose at rock paper scissors. I don't know why, but I do.
So I am going to start with, should I do a meme or should I do a TikTok?
Let's do TikTok. Let's start with that.
I'm going to start with this one just because I thought it was great. And when I say it was great, I think it's like fully awful. So I'm going to explain it and then I'll allow you guys to hear the audio. It says, when he says he wants to look down there while I'm giving birth. And it's a very pregnant individual, like, sitting on her husband's lap and then, like interacting at different points. And it is the sound, ew, David. No, ew, David. No, ew, David. No, ew, David. And now I will play it up louder so you guys can hear this. But when he says he wants to look down there while I'm giving birth.
Ew, David. Ew, David. Ew, no, David. Oh, my God. Ew, David. Ew, David.
There you go. Thoughts?
Okay, especially for hetero couples who conceived themselves, right?
Yes.
You put it in there. You don't want to see it come out? Like, you made this. You don't want to see it come into the world.
Right. So I try to remember that there is a lot of shame and like miseducation done around bodies in general.
Yeah, but it's
no matter your identity,
vulvas.
Right? No matter your identity, but if you got a vulva, you got a vagina, you got those parts. There's all sorts of like misinformation, and also this like thought that if your partner, again, kind of in a hetero context, but however this could expand, that if they see your vulva with a baby coming out of it, they will no longer be attracted to it. Which, if that's all it took, I don't think they were attracted to it to begin with. Just saying. Just a thought.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I see this a lot. I've heard this a lot as well from clients.
To do a callback episode, we did a whole section on our Reddit episode on someone like this.
Yeah. And I've heard, birthers be like, I just don't want my partner even there at all. I've also heard the, like, gotta stay by my head. Do not. Right? I don't want you to see me giving birth at all. But I think a lot of it comes down to, right, like, shame about our bodies, desirability, like, that kind of thing. This idea that, like, you'll never be the same again. Like, your vulva, your vagina will never be the same after giving birth.
I think there is a component that needs to be played into, like, virgin qualities, and that being attractiveness and all of this. So you literally, except for Virgin Mary and a couple others throughout history, you literally can't be hot and also not a virgin, right? Like, so I think that's a part of it too, right? Not things that I agree with, but these are the context that I think comes from that, and whether that person's analyzing that thought or not, whole different thing. I thought it was very funny because we're saying this very loudly. This person has a verified account on TikTok, and this is like the joke we're making, and so I just feel a bit bad for this birther. I want to hold her and tell her, like, root him on.
I just think, I don't know, I think about how many people saw me give birth because I was in a teaching hospital, and, like,
right? I don't know.
The only person I really wanted to see me give birth is my partner. Like, that was the only person that I really wanted there.
It's fully weird for me because my first birth was a C-section. Mm-hmm. So, my partner's literally seen my guts. Why would I not be
that honestly might be worse. I don't want to see my guts.
I mean, I didn't see my guts. I know. But my partner has, right? Like, he's literally seen inside of me. So, like, that's like small
potatoes.
Small potatoes.
Isn't that the same?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
This is not nothing. No. Nah.
That's nothing.
Right. I mean, he didn't have to get EMDR for that one. He truly was traumatized by my C-section. So, I just have a whole different worldview coming at it. So, and I do want to, like, emphasize, as a doula, as a person who's out there to help others advocate, if that is really important to them and that is really what they want, and that's part of their worldview or whatever, I'm going to be here to help support you and making sure that happens.
It's about them being comfortable, and if that would make them uncomfortable, right, it's not my job to undo all of society's bullshit about, like, bodies and vulvas and vaginas and what they're supposed to look like and, the beauty standards around it. It's not,
right.
I can't do anything for that person specifically, but support them in that,
Yeah, for sure. So I thought that one was a fun one to start off with because, it's kind of fun.
All right, I'll go with my first one. All right.
Go for it.
It says, me, I want an all-natural birth when I have my first kid, no epidural. And then in the star, it says, gets a menstrual cramp. And then the picture is of a dummy in a neck brace in a hospital gown, just like...
Dead.
The reason why I picked this one is because I've heard quite a few times people being like, this feels like my period.
Right.
They're in active labor.
Yep.
Right? And so there's so and what I mean by that is, like, someone saying, like, oh, I'm fine. Right? Like, this doesn't feel worse than my period feels. And then they get a check and they're like 7 or 8 centimeters.
Yep.
And you're like, what does your period feel like? What do those cramps feel like if this is just normal, right? And I think that shows a lot of things of, like, first of all, birth does not always look the way we think it is, right? Because so many times you're like, they have to be in early labor.
Right.
And the midwives will tell them that, or the OBs will tell them that, everybody will tell them that. They're like, okay.
Right.
They get checked, they're fully in active labor, right? So this idea of, like, birth does not look the way it's supposed to look, or, like, the way we think it will look and the way it will progress. And also the concept that
measuring off of your
off our menstrual cycle and, like, how painful that really can be.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's plenty of, like, stories out there of, like, people thinking they're just having bad period, and
they had stomach cramps,
and their appendix is about to burst, right? Because their threshold for pain is so high.
For sure.
So I think that's another interesting thing to put out of, like, first of all, birth is different, right? Yes. Pain in birth is different, but just to think about, like, some people are just having that high level of pain,
right?
Labor pain.
I think that's funny because I think this meme is saying the opposite. Like, my menstrual cycle hit, and they're, like, trying to minimize, like, if that's how you're reacting to your menstrual cycle.
No, I fully agree with that. I fully understand that. Yeah. I fully think that it's like, oh, I'll be a baby.
Right.
I'll be too much of a baby. But I really think that we underestimate how painful.
Oh, for sure. I now make a requirement that my clients tell me if they have PCOS, what are their cycles like, that kind of thing. Because I have had too many where they're like, oh, like, we go in, and there was one that was a car baby because of that issue. Because she was like, I don't think we need to kick it up. I think it's time to go to the hospital. I was like, I don't. All right, let's go.
And if we want to talk about the way I think it was intended, which I think is what you said. Excuse me. I think it's what you said of, like, oh, I can't handle a non-natural birth. For sure. I can't handle or unmedicated. It said natural birth, but obviously unmedicated. And it's like, you honestly have no fucking clue what that feels like until you experience it.
There's also sometimes your body doesn't give you a chance to make that decision, right?
Yep.
There's precipitous labor where you just, like a train heading off the tracks, you're going to have a baby unmedicated because we literally just don't have time.
Or you have, like, insane back labor, or you have these coupled contractions and shit like that are not going to look the way people tell you birth will look.
Oh, for sure.
That will, like, hit you in the face. Like, oh, shit. Like,
I do find that one funny because I have had clients where they're like, I'm going to do this, but yet they're calling me about Braxton Hicks and, like, how much work it is for them to be in that kind of pain. And it's like, oh, man, kid. Do we have this conversation about mindset, or do I just let you, like, ride the wave and we figure it out? Because sometimes it is that thing of you need to be engaged in the moment to like get that mindset, and sometimes it's the preemptive cursor of, like,
it's gonna be rough for them to go through an unmedicated birth. Yeah.
That's a fun one. That was a good one. Here you go. I will do a like picture meme. It is of Maria from Sound of Music dancing on a hilltop, and it says, "Look at me pretending not to be freaked out at the thought of delivering a baby."
I like it.
You're right.
I mess with that one. I like that one a lot.
And going with your thing of, like, the context of being a birther and seeing this, like, I would crack up at that, especially, like, fully thinking about like Emmy prior to her first birth to prior to her last birth, all the way through. There was still some amount of, like, oh shit, the fuck did you agree to? Like,
I was totally cool until, like, week 4 of my childbirth class when I was pregnant, and we watched the birth video. And I left panicked. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do that. Like, it was the first time it felt, like, real. At that point, I just been going, like, okay, going to the next thing. All right, here's some more bullshit I gotta deal with. But that was the first time I said, oh, I'm gonna have to give birth.
So funny.
Cam was like, yeah, you knew that. And I had to have been, like, 35 weeks at this point. Like, I was not early on.
That is so funny.
But I like that. I feel like that's positive. I feel like if I was a birther and I saw that, I'd be like,
okay,
yeah. other people freaked out too, but we got this, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's part of the reason I liked it. I also like the realness in there because I often have, like, clients where they're like, I didn't know it was going to suck so bad. I'm like, I never said it wasn't going to suck. Right? Like, the reality is there's a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of trepidation. And, like, I'll try and reframe it in that moment of, like, you're intimidated. There's a difference between intimidation and fear. Intimidation is when you're standing on the edge of something, you're about to do something really cool, but you're like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Fear is like you think something's going to harm you.
Yeah.
And the reality in birth is most times people are intimidated by it, not fearful of it. And they need to be taught that line in the sand.
Difference, yeah.
Because I think they
if
would
they
find
go
a
over
lot
to
more.
fear, it's a whole different like experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that one was very funny, especially though, like, if I just blitz out, then it's no problem.
I think framing it as intimidation rather than fear is great. And because I think there is a lot of like not being real about it's gonna fucking suck, man. And if it doesn't suck for you, that's amazing. Yeah. But it really does suck, and if you're not prepared for the suck, it's like,
yeah, for sure. There's those where like they're like, ah, man, that didn't suck at all. Dope, super stoked for you, but it probably sucked a little bit, and you had the ability to reframe that. Like, just be real.
Well, and it's a thing that's talked a lot about, like, in workout culture, right? But especially when I spent a lot of time in like CrossFit gyms, about like sitting in the suffering a little bit. And that I think really helps a little bit. Like, sometimes there's a purpose for what's happening and the purpose for what you're feeling. And this instinct to run away from like any discomfort, right? Like a Braxton Hicks or, like something that's simple is like, it makes sense, but you have to be okay with like pushing forward.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Which kind of leads into my next one. So, this says, my childbirth instructor says, it's not pain that I'll feel during labor, but pressure. Is she right? And the answer to this question is in the same way that a tornado might be called an air current. So they're trying to say that the childbirth instructor is very incorrect in minimizing the fact that there would be, quote, not pain in labor, but pressure. I think this one's interesting because you and I talk a lot about the like pain-free birth people.
Yeah.
Which again, if you had a pain-free birth, I think that's amazing. I think that if I was expecting a pain-free birth and I didn't mentally prepare myself for the suffering, that it might really fucking suck when it hurts.
Yeah, the biggest thing with pain-free birth is I do think it's possible to have a pain-free birth. My concern, though, is for the person who's trying to birth and it's long. So we've literally exhausted the tools.
Yeah.
Or they're going for something and the plot twist happens, right? The OP baby that's stubborn and gave you all back labor.
Yeah.
Ultimately, my job is to train people for all the things, right? And so in that moment, if I were a childbirth instructor being asked, is it pain or is it pressure? I would say both, and sometimes one, and sometimes neither. Like, you're going to have many different sensations throughout, and it's possible that you might, like, go towards one versus the other. Let's remember mindset and, like, going into that conversation.
And talking about the mindset around it, right? Because it's not just, like, yeah, everything's terrible and expect it. And maybe we should talk to somebody who talks about pain-free birth and ask those questions. Yeah. Because I would love to know what happens when people get out of that mindset of, like, this isn't pain, right? Yeah. I would love to know, like, how do you handle that, right? As a doula, as a support person.
Exactly. I think that's a really good point. You ready for the next one?
Let's go.
If you guys have ever never seen Ace Ventura, you've never seen Ace Ventura. Okay. Well, it'll still be funny. It says, birth, it's like a big poop, and it shows Ace Ventura coming out of the rear end of a rhinoceros.
Is that in the movie?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. I also would say that's accurate.
Because in the film, it's actually like a suit that he's in, so this is how he gets in and out, is through the butthole of it, so it's very...
Got it.
Yeah. But I thought it was funny because...
Obviously.
Yeah. Yes. There you go.
Birth is like a big poop. All the
Yes.
people who are afraid of pooping, right? I'm honestly to the point where I'm like, please don't ask me about poop. It's gonna happen. It's okay. Just please stop. It's fine.
I think, honestly, it comes down to, for me, I started having the conversation of, birth is awesome if we can get you to puke, poop, bleed, like, all of those things, pain, pressure, all the things that you don't like are going to be a part of this process because it is, like, a really big deal what you're doing, and it's going to push your body to the limit. Yeah. So, it's
primal and human and, like...
There's very few marathon runners who don't shit their pants. So, if you think marathon runners shitting their pants is normal, or, like, within the realms of, like, holy shit, they did a hard thing.
That's, like, maybe don't run a marathon.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely give birth if you want to. Don't run a fucking marathon.
But more my point is, like, if we can normalize that one. Like...
Sorry, I'm still reeling. I didn't know that was normal. I didn't know that was a thing that everybody knew.
If you're in running communities, like, shitting yourself is a thing, so is throwing up. And it's because you're running a really long... You're pushing your body to the absolute limits.
Like death.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm sorry.
Okay.
You don't strike me as a marathon runner, so... I don't want to be left in my brain for that long.
Anybody who's listening, I'm just pointing to my body. That was not to say that fat people cannot be runners. No, because that's not true, but that was the joke I was making.
Just this fat runner. Just this person is not a runner.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, I found that one funny. Anyway, there you go.
I didn't know that. See, seems like you just should not do it. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Okay, I have one doula one. This one says, doulas do not, in capital letters, advocate, period. Doulas teach and empower you to advocate for yourself. They will help you prepare for your birth and encourage you to ask the right questions during your birth. Nothing is more empowering than making important and informed decisions for you and your family. Thoughts? Because I see your face.
Must be nice that they've never been in a situation where they actually have to advocate. Must be nice.
Or worse, they have been and they didn't.
Right, but they've sat in a privileged enough position where they didn't see abuse happening and didn't feel compelled to step in. It must be nice. Everyone's allowed to have their philosophies, and
I don't know. It makes me sad when I see those.
It just, to me, I think of people in that mindset similar to those who give out their phone number without an area code. They have experienced so little of the world that they don't even understand that there is anything beyond their tiny scope. And that is the nicest way I can insult somebody's intelligence.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
It is definitely, I think privilege is the right word. I think that, I don't know, I get frustrated at this because I would say there's only been a couple of births that I've been to that I haven't needed to advocate, that I haven't needed to speak up, that I haven't needed to slow the room down. And again, we've talked about this before. Is it like just a miscommunication about what advocacy means? Is it really just a person watching harm happen and like not saying anything? Like, I would love to know more about, like, where this, like, we do not advocate come from. Because if I called in a patient advocate, what would that look like? In a hospital, I'm not giving birth, right? What would that look like? That would look like a lot of, like, what we do, right?
Yeah.
And they're literally called patient advocates, right? Because it's the extra support person, the extra help to get what you want from your care, especially if we're in a hospital, right?
Yeah, so not even just, like, patient advocates, there's also, like, IEP advocates for those who have kids with special needs or any sort of extra assistance needed at the school system. And I talked to IEP advocates because my son's on an IEP, and I fully figured out, like, oh, you do what I do. It's just your special interest is IEPs.
Yes.
Got it. And I still had one that's like, we're really here to assist families, and I'm not really here to speak for you. I'm like, right. But if something needs to be said in the moment, she's like, oh, I say it.
100%.
So, and I think maybe that's that hang up is, like, maybe this person or individuals who think this way, maybe it's the thing of, like, I don't talk for you throughout.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to say all the things throughout. Which, like, fucking nuance, we get that. Like,
yeah. Like, obviously, I'm not, like, some people are, I don't know.
Hi, we're here to check in for Clarissa. Don't talk to her. Like, like, I'm not speaking for them,
but I don't
filling out
know,
their
like,
paperwork and, like, doing all
Let's call back to our interview with Monica, the Ellen D nurse.
Right.
Was talking about Doulas saying, you can say no.
That's true.
That sounds like speaking up for somebody, right?
Yeah.
That
totally.
sounds like putting what you want on top of somebody, right? But I don't know. I have this really big hang up with people who will refuse to admit that what we do is advocacy. Or advocacy focused. And the thing is an IEP advocate, a patient advocate, a doula, right? We're talking about people who are going to be experts in these fields. Why do I, as the birther, have to become the expert, right? And that's ultimately what always ends up having to happen to get good care.
Yes.
Right? So why are people hiring us if that's not what they need?
Look, I don't understand when most individuals, when they come into this work, understand that there's a major issue with maternal and perinatal death, right? We're not talking about, like, empowerment, guys. We're talking about life and goddamn death. Yeah. So I don't understand this. Like, it's even a hard thing to, like,
you, like, stick your toe in and you see the oppression, you see the racism, you see all of this other shit. That is happening, right? And then if we want to talk about trauma, and we want to talk about oppression, and we want to talk about how that affects people, and we want to talk about how that causes people's bodies to react, how it can cause them not to speak up, it can cause them to be quiet when they don't need to be, like, all of these other situations where they do need you to advocate.
Yes. They
do need someone who knows them so well and knows their wants so well.
Yes.
That they will advocate for them.
Yes.
So, that always makes me mad, and I had to save it. Because I'm just so flabbergasted by it. So, if you're listening, and you have that opinion, message us, because I would love to talk about it.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about, like, the nitty-gritty of it.
Maybe we can have you on. Like,
100%.
Because truly... And that's why I'm willing to put a little bit in there. Maybe it's not that you're not willing to say advocate the whole time.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it's, we have slightly different definitions. However, like, ultimately it's the same flavor going across. Right? Yeah. Like, your Neapolitan is layered chocolate, strawberry, vanilla, and mine is vanilla, strawberry, chocolate. Right? Yeah. Same shit, just flipped upside down.
We're calling it something different. Right. Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Like I said, I so assume, and I
don't know.
Ooh, yuck.
It's bad. Okay, let's move on.
The next one I have to show you is gonna be this one, which was very cute. Okay, so I'm turning down the sounds so you can see. I tried to let my fiance know that I was sending our newborn to the nursery so we could get rest. And this very sweet man is like, no, why would you do that? No, I'll hold the baby, like, and I'll get you rest. And he's like, no, they don't need to go to the nursery. And she's like, they have a special bracelet. How about we get a nap? No, baby, I got this. Right? And it's very sweet.
Very sweet.
And him the entire time being like, he doesn't need a nursery, right? And she's like, okay, I'll tell the nurse not to come and grab the baby, right? But she says in a later on one, she didn't realize how quickly he would fall into that dad role.
Yeah.
And so I like seeing moments like that showcased again from that perspective of like, what would me as a birther see? Yeah. And like, that's what you hope out of partners. Like, no matter who your partner is, to be that willing to step up and be like, oh, you need a nap?
I got you.
I got it. No, we don't need to send the kid to a nursery. We're going to do full attachment style parenting. I'll go undress so I can do skin to skin with the baby. Yeah. Like, you go do...
You want to see that, yeah.
I want to see that. And I have couples where that's happened, and I think it's really wonderful when you see that happen. But I think it's so sweet.
See, I really, like, emphasize the opposite of, like, it's okay if you don't feel that right away, right? Because I see that a lot sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
From birthers and partners, where it's like...
What is this alien that you...
Alien.
Yeah.
Right? And I even have, like a comic that I show in my childbirth classes that, like, it's like, hello, strange alien raisin, right? Because it's just, like, to emphasize that, like, sometimes that doesn't happen. And, like, there's not always that, like, magic moment that like is like talked about, so I try to make sure that it's like either way it happens, for sure. It's normal, right? But it's really cool to see partners be ready to like step up and like, I got you, you're right, we don't need the extra help, I got it, right? I got it. And he fully says at one point like, no, I got plenty of sleep. No, you need to sleep, right? Like holding the baby, and you can tell he's like, no, you are not taking my kid.
Right, exactly. It's great. It's a great moment. And again, like, I enjoy those, technically not a meme, but just like a really sweet moment of something that someone recorded. Yeah. And I don't even think she actually called the nurse. I think she was just trying to like test the waters.
Make a TikTok.
Yeah, exactly.
See how they would react.
Right.
All right. I have this one. Okay. What is said? Are you sure you aren't having twins? What I hear, you look like the girl in Charlie the Chocolate Factory. And it's Veruca. No, the blueberry girl, yeah.
Violet.
And the first comic is just a normal person who looks like they're pregnant, and then the second, she's literally a circle, like the girl in that movie.
This one always got to me. My mom's a twin.
Yeah.
And the kindest thing my grandmother ever told me is like, don't focus on your weight during pregnancy. Her first pregnancy, which was a singleton, she gained 75 pounds, and then she was put on an all-liquid diet for the last 2 weeks because she gained too much weight.
Yeah.
And with her twin, she wore the same jeans out of the hospital that she got pregnant in.
Okay.
And each twin was almost 8 pounds.
Yeah.
So she put on approximately only like 2 pounds worth of weight outside of the twins. And so I always think of that when people would ask that kind of stuff, because I think about my grandmother being really sad that no one asked her if she was having twins, because that's what she said, is like, I was carrying 2 babies and no one like was impressed by me.
No one could tell,
Right? Like, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm carrying 2 babies.
Yeah.
Like,
it's always insane the shitty things that birthers have to hear and birthers have to get told, right?
Yeah.
Of like, oh my God, you're so huge. Where's your baby? Right? I was watching Gilmore Girls the other day. The Melissa McCarthy's character is pregnant. And one of the people sees her and says, oh my God, you haven't popped yet? And like, it makes a comment about an elephant's gestation, which is really long. Elephants are pregnant for like 2 years or something.
Correct. Yeah.
And it sends her into a spiral.
Oh no.
So she's walking around at like 2 a.m. like how do I get this baby out? I looked up an elephant's gestation.
That's so funny.
So I'm just always reminded of, like, how shitty people talk to birthers.
Yeah.
And how, like, they don't even consider how something like that could be insulting or...
Are you going to ask how you can help me when the twins come? Like, what is the purpose behind what you're saying, right?
Just like that awkward, I don't know what to say.
Yes.
And in case anybody doesn't know, how are you doing? That's all. That's it.
What if we just
Perfect
take off
sentence.
the table commenting on someone's body, right?
And that's
like,
the big thing, right?
Maybe we don't. I think an element for me is, like, people kept bringing up the possibility of twins, and my husband with our last pregnancy thought it was funny, right? He thought it was a joke that I was, like, laughing back with, because I tend to be mouthy, guys, and I was being quippy back, right? And I told him, like, look, man, I need you to stop, because the reality is that it stresses me out, because then we will have 4 kids under the age of 3.
Yeah.
And what you don't realize is I will need a nanny. I will need more help.
Yep.
I will need a different house. I will need these different things. So you keep joking about it, and I will start to shop.
It's going to cost you a lot of money.
So, keep joking about it, and I'm going to have a heyday. And suddenly, the jokes stop.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm just like, it's not funny.
Right.
Right? It's never kind to comment on people's bodies ever.
Right, for sure.
Right? Which we do as a society an insane amount.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I think some of it is, like, there is, like, this fascination with twins or multiples, like, just a
You hear it all the time. I would love to have twins. I would love to have twins. And I'm like, have you ever talked to someone who's a parent of multiples? It's rough.
Highest divorce
rate. It is so rough and so hard. I didn't know that statistic, but it is so tough. Like, I know it's like, sounds like, well, I'd get it all one and done. Still gonna be rough, man.
Yeah. And your bill's still higher. Your bill's still higher.
Still rough, man.
Yeah. All right, to transition, here's one for you. That pad they give you at the hospital right after giving birth, it is the size of, like, a pool floaty. It's just a bad looking pool floaty, but it looks like a pad.
A maxi pad. Yeah.
Right. And this is one that I enjoyed, again, that perspective of someone walking along, because we don't talk enough about that after bleeding and, like, the realities of, like, you're going to be in a diaper too.
They'll just, like, wrap you in Chuck's pads.
Right. Yep.
Like, and those are huge.
Right. Yeah.
And they'll just, like, put one in between your legs and make you walk around.
The one that got me was, like, I told my family, because they were like, what can I pick up, like, for you to be prepared and all of that. I was like, I need, like, a small pack of Depends. And they're like, why would you need that? I'm like, because I don't want to walk around with the ugly pad, because then I have to, like, shifty it, hoping it stays in the right spot.
Yeah.
Depends, I never have to worry about it.
Which is why I recommend adult diapers to everybody.
Yeah.
They want to be extra comfy.
Yeah. It's the way to go. Yeah. Especially if you've had a cesarean, because it won't affect, like, sitting on your scar.
Didn't know that.
Because they're higher waisted.
Oh, I had those mesh underwear that were just...
Way up.
Yeah. Loved them. Obsessed. And for plus size people, you can order them online in your size.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Fun fact.
It's also kind of sad that they don't just have them for you, right? Like,
a whole nother conversation.
Got it. I won't.
Not going there.
Got
it. Okay. Let's see. I have a couple more.
Got it. So do I. You're fine.
Okay. So this one, which I already showed you, is just, I think, so funny. It says, moms after they give birth. My baby is so perfect. And then the baby is a little baby alien from American Dad. And
looking
has
all jacked.
A giant, long head.
Oh my God. You've been in that moment, right? Where you have to be like, yeah, cute kid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. There was one kid. Oh, this poor woman, right? very tight pelvic floor, former gymnast, pushed for 2 hours at crowning.
Oh, God.
I mean, crowning. And finally the midwife was like, look, I think you would be a good candidate for an episiotomy. I'm going to do a very small one. It will be within 3 stitches. I've only done one other one in my entire career. I'm not recommending this lightly. This was after like 8 bottles worth of the lube and mineral oil. Like, they had tried all the things. That kid came out with a holy canoodle, man. Like, it just, like this, looked like a beluga whale.
And I expected...
Could not fit underneath the hat.
Oh, no. The hat hides so much. It's a big hat.
The hat didn't fit.
Poor baby. I was fully prepared for this because my mom tells me about how I had a cone head all the time. And she's like, I had to massage your head. And, you know, you look normal now. You're good.
Right.
So I fully expected this. My kid was vacuumed out, so he had a nice little vacuum suction cup. But the reason why I picked this is because everybody looks at me crazy because I called my son Dobby. He looked like Dobby when he was born. Dobby the house elf, right, from Harry Potter.
Look who's making all those like pop culture references. Yeah, it's you. Gross.
He had a little bit of like a pointy nose. Like I always say that, and people look at me like, oh no, I bet he was so cute. I'm like, he was cute, but he looked like a house elf. And I'll pull up the photo, and they're like, yeah. I'm supposed to, like, not see it. I saw it, and he was my cute little elf, and that's cool, right? But it is so funny to me that people do not, like, won't let me admit, without photographic evidence, that my baby looks like Dobby the house elf.
I've seen a handful of like babies where they grow into their looks, right?
For sure. But it's funny that we're not allowed to admit it. As like the mom, right? As the parent, I'm not allowed to say, "Oh yeah, you grew into your looks." But like people could like leave and go say that and talk shit somewhere else, and people would, oh yeah, that was an ugly baby, but I can't say it. I can't say it.
Yep. People
say, oh, that's so mean. No, it's not mean. He's cute now.
That's so funny. Honestly, my babies turn cute like about 5 to 6 weeks in, and it's because they need fat on them. Yeah. Mine are born very thin and
skinny
long.
Babies. Castless
so too. Like they need some fat. Like that's what they need.
That makes them cute.
Right. And like they're cute to me, but I fully was not expecting anyone to think they were cute. Yeah, I think that's an epidemic.
A lot of babies just look like old men. I think it's okay to say, hey, babies don't have to be cute, man.
No.
Just saying.
So here's my last one for you. It's a 1950s looking woman with a perfect kitchen behind her, and it says, don't be fooled by this face. I had a baby without medication. I will snap you like a twig.
I think that it is funny that it's a 1950s housewife.
Oh, for sure.
Because they were fully medicated all the time.
Yeah, for sure. And truly what they're doing is like the aesthetic of like
totally
put together all of this.
Like, I'm cute and I look nice and calm, but I did something really badass.
Right.
Yeah.
So be prepared. And it's honestly what I think of every time when I encounter people where like how they prepared for their birth was like so intense.
Yeah.
And I do think that's where that like, even though I don't believe in like a gold medal for birth, I do think there is a bit of like that, whoa, that's a big deal that you did that, right? Like being impressed by each other's accomplishments in births, right? So,
or even to hear people's preparation for that, and to hear like even a first-time birther, preparing for like a home birth, like that is really against the norm, right? Whether you end up with a home birth or not, like whatever happens, the preparation for it, the like I can do this mindset, like people are like shocked by that. That's a big deal, I think.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we see second time or third time birthers choosing those out of hospital options, or we see so much fear mongering against that, like going
Yes.
out of hospital, right? So there is a lot against you. Because
Right.
I know that for anybody who's like, yeah, I'm having an unmedicated birth, I know there wasn't people who were like, yeah, good, you can do it.
Right.
I know it was the opposite of like, no.
Right.
You're going to want the epidural. You need to go to the hospital. You need
Correct.
to whatever. Like, I hear my clients have to experience that all the time.
Yeah.
Like, nobody will be supportive in their, like, goal to have unmedicated birth or an out-of-hospital birth.
Because
Like,
of their own hang-ups, right?
yeah.
But it's
Or
also...
misunderstandings.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think of it constantly with different birthers that I've had of like, dude, you went 36 hours. That's like, hell yeah, you get a high five, right? Like,
Yeah.
these different things, like birthing on its own is badass, but I think that's where there's that misunderstanding of like gold star or like gold medal. It's not that you got a gold medal. It's the other person who has been in your spot and been like, that was dope. That sounds intense.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think there's room to, like, appreciate people's, like, experiences, right? While removing the hangups of, like, maybe you wanted a different experience,
Correct.
right? Because that's, I think, what you see a lot of, like, well, I could have never. Cool. Like,
Right.
I wasn't asking you to,
Right.
right? Like, I wasn't,
yeah. I've had it recently because it was really funny how it was brought up. I'm getting a tattoo in December, and my brother-in-law has one in a similar spot, and he's like, that's really painful getting it there. I was like, I had a C-section that I felt all of it. I think I'll be all right. So he was like, never mind, you're gonna be fine during
You'll
that
be all right.
But that's like a good example of that, like, oh, that's right, that's who I'm talking to, never mind, I'll back up, right? Like,
yeah.
and that's more of what I'm thinking is like being referred to here is like, oh shit, I forgot, like,
Oh, that's badass.
right,
Never mind.
like,
I love it. Okay, I have one more too. This one's bad.
uh-oh,
I don't love it.
Oh no.
It says that an OBGYN stands for an overworked bitch goddess. And it has what looks to be an OB in front of someone in stirrups. And the thought bubble says, okay, now push, go, 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 go. And underneath it, it says, for Christ's sakes, what the hell is wrong with you? I've been awake for 72 hours, and even I can push harder. What do you want? Do you want me to cut you? Because I'll do it.
So Alex, you said bad, you did not say
Oh,
horrifying.
It's horrifying.
I feel like I just witnessed abuse. That's dope.
That anybody wrote that.
Sick.
We're
Sick.
awful. This was fully of like a meme page towards like medical students and doctors and like, right, this is where I found it. The idea that anybody would read this and be like, ha ha ha.
I don't understand any joke where you punch down, right?
I agree with that 100%.
So the punchline is that the person birthing can't push?
Yeah.
That's what... I mean, there's a lot of punchlines y'all could have done, right? And I won't workshop it for you because my time's worth more than that. But there's a lot of jokes you could have made there.
100%. And stuff like this comes from, like, I don't know, fully burnt out physicians and fully burnt out, like, people who are not seeing their patients as people.
Yeah, of course.
For whatever the reason is, that's what we're seeing. And that sucks because it's truly showing, like, the worst side of providers.
Yeah, and I wonder how bold a provider would be to hang that, like, on their fridge or, like, have on a mug.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
I think these are the things they see that they're like, ha, 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 double tap. Like it, right? It's not something they would be proud of or they would say out loud. The fear that I would have is that's what people think in their heads, right? Or, like, you know, because...
I want, like, more of my thing is, like, are they sharing this? Like, that's that part that I'm curious about. Like, how are they interacting with this? And, like, how deeply is it connecting with them?
Yeah.
Because I can understand, I'm trying here to humanize.
You're too nice, because I'm not trying at all.
The 72 hours and, like, yeah, however you chose that field, that's a part of the gig.
You know what comes with it, right? And that's part of the thing, like we see, like, we chose this, right?
Correct.
We're choosing to do this as a job. I can complain a little bit about on-call life, right? But I can't take it out on my clients. I can't take it, right? Like, I can bitch and complain and be frustrated or whatever. I can't take that out on my clients, right?
Sure.
And things like this, it's directly pointed to the client, to the patient, right? Directly pointed to the person giving birth. And, like, yeah, you've probably seen 10 births in the 72 hours, right? This is that person's one time. This one singular experience. And I have such a hard time when I see this stuff, because I can only imagine if a birther saw something like this.
Yeah, that's why I was curious, like, how that's being interacted with.
Yeah.
And because there's almost, I wouldn't call it an affirmation, but they change OBGYN to overworked bitch goddess, right? There's something there where there's almost, like, congratulatory.
Yeah.
Almost like when you see those shirts of, like, mom, manager of milk maker, whatever, like, they're changing out the words in order to, like, celebrate what they do.
Yeah.
So, interesting. That's all I can leave that one as. Interesting. That's an interesting take. Again, there's
it was a bad one.
A lot of jokes we could make there. It's just unfortunate we chose the bad take.
I think that about a lot of comedy. I could have made a different choice there, guys.
I think it's very funny. And look, there's certain ones where I do think there's, like, validation. Like, I'm thinking of different jokes that I know that they're making internally and all of that. Like, I found one where it's like when the person shows up with a 9-page birth plan.
Yeah.
Like, I get why that gets the eye roll. I get why that's, like, also funny to pass around, because you know that person rolling in and you're like, 9 pages, bitch? No, we're not.
By the way, make your birth plan 1 page. You want people to read it.
Right.
You want everybody to read it. You
Right.
want every nurse that comes on shift to read it. Make it readable.
Single side.
Yes.
The opposite side is your cesarean plan if there has to be a cesarean.
I put all that on 1 page.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get that joke. I also get the joke of I saw one on there where it was like, oh, you're in full-blown labor, but you need me to grab your socks and the TV remote and grab your man, like, a pillow, right? Like, also, I can find that one funny. Being a doula, like, I've had those moments where I show up and I'm like,
you should have stayed home, baby.
Oh,
why weren't you at home?
Cool. We're not having back-to-back contractions like you said on the phone. Got it. I can find the humor in that, right?
For sure.
I wouldn't take it out on my client.
Was so far.
Yeah,
over the line.
Yeah.
It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you fully made me uncomfortable along with you. Well, way to end it off.
That was such a lovely note to leave.
Yeah, for sure.
Do we have a funny one we can leave
off? Let me see if I got one more for you, friends. Here, this one's a lighter one, and it's done from that medical realm. And also, I'm Birth Wizard, so it's a Lord of the Rings reference. So it says, after 3 hours of pushing, my patient delivers vaginally, and it's Frodo going, it's done. It's gone. When he throws the ring into Mordor. So
love it.
I think that one's like
that's congratulatory to everybody around, right?
While like, also showing the like, ah, shit, that was a lot. Like,
or like, oh, I did not think that was gonna happen.
No.
Yeah.
So there we go. We can end it a little bit later.
Okay, good.
But that's from that same kind of like field. These were like L&D nurse ones, and I've been there where it's like, It happened.
Yeah, like I did not think it was gonna happen.
It's gone. It's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam, carry me back down. Well, guys, thanks for joining us on this meme episode.
Yeah. I would love if people would send us their memes.
Go to the Discord and put your memes on there.
If you would join the Discord. You can also DM us memes. If you want to talk to us not on Discord, that's okay. Just talk to us.
Yeah.
We're lonely. We need... That sounded like a dating ad or something.
I'm desperate. I just need someone to come with me to Christmas so my mom's not asking questions.
Anyways, I'm going to take that back. Anyways, please join the Discord or DM us, talk to us. We will be getting back to social media at some point.
Yeah.
I keep telling myself every day, this is the day. I'm having a hard time. Taking a month off felt great. It's been rough to get back into it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Buy our merch. I think we're going to release some new merch very soon, so keep an eye out for that. I'm Alex Barr, Doulacator.
And I'm Emmy the Birth Wizard.
Why were you laughing?
Because you've unironically adopted Doulacator. And I really love it.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
You're right. But until next time, we're Ring of Fire, your Doula BFFs.
That's the merch I was gonna release. And Emmy didn't even know.
I didn't? No.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.